3 years ago, my fiancée shoved a contract into my hands, wait for me for 3 years, I'll marry you in 3 years. After saying that, she dragged her male best friend's suitcase and walked through security without looking back. At the moment the plane took off, I folded the contract into a paper airplane. 3 years later, she came back, I searched through my contacts and still couldn't find her number. Oh, it was deleted that very day. On March 14th, I was squatting in front of the pancake stall downstairs from the company, facing a major life decision: 1 sausage, or 2, boss, are the eggs fresh today? The lady at the crepe stall rolled her eyes. You ask every day, and they're fresh every day, aren't you annoying? Then add 2 sausages, thanks. The phone buzzed in his pants pocket, an unsaved number, with the caller location showing, London. I stared at the screen for 2 seconds, then hung up. The lady boss cracked an egg onto the hot griddle with a sizzle, then glanced at me. Again, not answering, don't know. The phone vibrated again, it was the same number again. I hung up again. The pancake was wrapped up and handed over to me by the lady. I scanned the code and paid, then tucked the pancake under my arm and headed back to the office. My phone stayed quiet for about 40 seconds, then started vibrating non-stop. Not calls, but WeChat. Wei Shuoff, my college roommate, who's currently working as a product manager in the office building next door and comes over right on time every day at noon to enjoy the air conditioning by my desk. He sent 7 voice messages, each 59 seconds long. I didn't open it. Another text came in. Chi Yen, call me back right now, you fucking asshole, it's an emergency. It was followed by a string of exclamation marks, 14, if I counted them. I took a bite of the pancake and typed one-handed, say it, Sun Yen Yen is back. My chewing of the pancake paused for a second, then I kept chewing. Who? I typed out a word, Wei Shuo called directly. When I answered, I could hear the sound of his chair scraping against the floor on his end. He had probably stood up. What are you pretending not to know? Sun Yen Yen, your ex-fiancée, the one who handed you that agreement at the airport 3 years ago, the one who told you to wait for her for 3 years, the one who pulled Guzé's suitcase and left without looking back. The more he said, the more excited he got, and his voice was so loud I suspected the entire office could hear him. Oh, I said, her. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line. Oh, just oh, that's all you're giving me. What else? I got into the elevator, shifted the pancake paper bag to my left hand, and pulled out my ID card with my right to swipe it. 17th floor, architectural design department. She's back, and you have no reaction at all. Wei Shuo's voice came through the phone, full of incredulous accusation. What reaction am I supposed to have? The weather forecast said it would rain today. Do you want me to get excited about that too? The sausage is undercooked. What? The sausage in the pancake wasn't cooked through. Wei Shuo fell silent on the other end of the phone for 5 seconds, then said in a voice that sounded like he was looking at a dead person, Chi Yen, have you got something wrong with your head? Your ex-fiancée, the woman who dumped you as a backup plan at the airport 3 years ago, the same woman who flew around with her male best friend for 3 years, landed at Capital Airport at 8:15 this morning and is now searching all over Beijing for your contact information, and you're telling me the sausage is undercooked. How do you know she's back? Huang Lei said so. Huang Lei heard it from Shenjia. Shenjia's coworker is a college classmate of Sun Yanyan's. After landing, the first thing Sun Yanyan did was call everyone in her address book who had any connection to you, asking for your current number. I got out of the elevator and walked toward my desk. On the way past the break room, I casually poured myself a glass of water. I never changed my number. She saved your number. Oh, then she can't find it. Why can't she find it? I deleted her. Another silence fell. When was it deleted? That day. Which? That day, the day she flew away. I could hear Wei Shuo's breathing grow heavier. I knew that kind of breathing well. It usually happened when he was playing a game and got so frustrated by his teammates that he was about to smash his keyboard. You mean? He lowered his voice, enunciating each word. Sun Yanyan asked you to wait for her for 3 years, you agreed, then the moment her plane took off, you deleted her. It wasn't exactly that I deleted her only after the plane took off, that was, after she went through security. I sat in the airport lobby for 20 minutes, bought a bottle of water, finished it, then I deleted it. I didn't even wait for the plane to take off. A dull thud came from Wei Shuo's side, probably him slapping the table. Chi Yen, are you fucking human? What's wrong? You're way too cool. I ignored him, sat down, put the pancakes on the table, opened the computer, and still had a proposal for an old city renovation project to revise today, so she can't get in touch with you at all now. Wei Shuo's tone over the phone had already shifted from shock to the kind of excitement you get watching the Spring Festival Gala on New Year's Eve. She probably can't get in touch with me, then she'll definitely find you through someone else. Let her find it if she finds it. Aren't you nervous at all? What would I be nervous about? After all, she was your former fiancée. Front, you said it yourself, it was in front. Wei Shuo took a breath on the other end of the phone. Fine, you're the boss. I'll come find you at noon. I'm definitely getting to the bottom of this. Don't go anywhere. Where else could I go? I'm working overtime. It's settled then. He hung up the phone. I took a sip of water and opened the CAD file. On the screen was an elevation drawing of an old residential building. The original structure was a 1980s red brick tube-shaped apartment block. The client wanted to renovate the exterior facade, add insulation, and reopen the windows. As I measured the width of the walls between the windows, my mind automatically started calculating the daylighting angles. Sister Lin at the neighboring workstation leaned over. Engineer Chi, Mr. Zhang said the presentation materials from this morning need another revision. For the structural section, replace the node diagram with a 3D one. Okay, also, the client is coming for a meeting at 3 this afternoon. Get ready in advance. Sister Lin withdrew. I worked on the drawing for a while, and my phone vibrated again. WeChat, a friend request from a stranger. The avatar was a side profile photo, backlit and not quite clear enough to make out the features. But the person was wearing a camel-colored coat, with a street in some European city in the background. The verification message read, Chi Yen, it's me, Nian Nian. I stared at this application for about 3 seconds, then I crossed it out, kept drawing. The distance between the window mullions is off. I need to measure it again. 10 minutes later, another one came through. It was still the same person. The verification message had changed. Chi Yen, I'm back. Could you add me? I have something I want to tell you in person. I glanced at it, neither approving nor rejecting it. I just let it sit there. Another 5 minutes passed. The third message, I know you might be busy. I'm at Starbucks across from Lihing Building. If it's convenient, could you come down for a moment? Lihing Building, that was the building where our company was located. I turned and glanced out the window, 17th floor, with a very wide view, but I couldn't see the Starbucks downstairs. It was blocked by the podium. Building, how did she know where I worked? After thinking it over, it was probably through Shenjia. Human relationships are just a web. If one person yanks hard enough, they can always pull you in. I didn't reply, and I didn't go downstairs. I opened CAD and kept revising that node diagram. 3D modeling was taking a bit of time, so I adjusted the view and started drawing the rebar one by one. At 11:40, Wei Shuo appeared at our office door on time. He was wearing a navy hoodie and carrying 2 cups of milk tea. He looked excited in that. I came especially to watch the show. Wei, his lips were pressed into a smile, his pupils were dilated, and he walked in with a breeze. Here, he set the milk tea on my desk, pulled over a chair, and sat down, crossing his arms over his chest. He said, come on, give me the latest update. What's the progress? Sun Yanyan, did she find you? I lifted my chin toward the phone, sent 3 friend requests, none accepted. Wei Shuo took my phone, flipped to the friend request page, read through them one by one, and let out a low laugh. She's waiting for you downstairs. I know. Aren't you going down? Why would I go down? That's true. He took a sip of milk tea, then looked again at the message on his phone screen that said, I'm at Starbucks across from Lihing Building, and shook his head. 3 years later, and she actually still thinks you're waiting for her in the same place. Maybe. What do you think her expression would be if she knew you deleted her the very same day? I didn't answer. The 3D modeling for the node diagram still hadn't been finished yet. Wei Shuo, however, became interested, the milk tea straw between his teeth, his eyes bright. How long do you think she's been sitting there in that Starbucks? I don't know. What did you say she ordered? How would I know? Take a guess. Are you crazy? He chuckled twice, took out his phone, and started typing in a group chat. I glanced over. The group was called Chi Yan's ex-girlfriend returned to watch the show group. There were 6 members in the group. When did you create this group? This morning. Took 10 minutes to set it up, 5 to fill it with people. He held up his phone to show me the group chat history. Huang Lei, at Wei Shuo, latest intel. Shenjia, I heard Sun Yanyan bought an afternoon ticket to go to Chi Yan's company. Has she arrived yet? Someone named Old Qian sent a meme with a watching the drama expression. There were also 2 others I wasn't very familiar with. Probably Wei Shuo's colleagues, just here for the gossip. I pushed my phone back. You guys are really idle. Don't you think this is especially dramatic? Wei Shuo said solemnly. 3 years ago, a woman left her fiancé at the airport and dragged another man's suitcase away, saying, wait for me for 3 years. 3 years later, she came back and found that her fiancé had deleted her the very same day. He didn't even keep her number. He folded the agreement into a paper airplane and threw it away. She searched the world for him but couldn't get in touch with you. If this were turned into a short drama, the views would have to break 10 billion. If you want to make it, you make it. I don't have the resources for that, but I do have a front row seat. He took another sip of milk tea. Are you really not going to go down and take a look? No. What if she waits until this afternoon? That's her problem. Wei Shuo stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly shook his head, the smile fading a little. Do you know, Chien, you look a lot cooler now than you did 3 years ago. What kind of look? The look of not caring. I didn't say anything, to be honest. It wasn't that I didn't care, I just really forgot. A person's memory has limited capacity, you have to make room for new things. The messy emotions from 3 years ago had long since been solidly covered over by work, overtime, client revisions, project presentations, studying for the registered architect exam, pulling all-nighters to draw construction drawings, arguing with the contractor. Things like that. Sun Yen. These 3 characters carry about the same weight in my mind as, what did I have for lunch last Wednesday? I can't remember, no need to think about it either. At 3 in the afternoon, the client came for a meeting. I gave a 40-minute presentation on the facade design for the old city district renovation. The client representative was a man in his 50s, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. He was quite satisfied with the proposal I put forward. Preserve the original red brick texture and integrate modern materials to create a ventilated exterior wall. But he still raised 7 or 8 revision points. The meeting went on until 5. After seeing the client off, I returned to my desk to pack up and get ready to leave work. When Xiaozhou from the front desk hurried over, Engineer Qi, there's a girl downstairs looking for you. Who? She didn't say her name. Long hair, wearing a camel-colored coat, quite pretty. She said she's your friend and has been waiting in the lobby all afternoon. The whole afternoon, from noon until now, 4 or 5 hours. What did she say her name was? She said you'd know when you saw her. I stood beside my desk holding my laptop bag, thinking for a few seconds. Xiaozhou is still waiting for my reply. Tell her for me that I went through the back door. Xiaozhou opened her mouth. Just say I'm not going through the front door today. Okay. I carried my bag, took the stairs down through the fire escape, left the building through the underground parking garage, got on my somewhat unreliable electric bike, and merged into the March evening rush hour traffic. My phone vibrated again. The 4th friend request. The verification message consists of only 2 words, Qi Yen. The wind whizzed past my ears. I tightened my grip on the handlebars and turned onto the road home, Chapter 2, 3 years ago. The 27th day of the 12th lunar month, Capital Airport T3 Terminal, Departure Hall. I remember that day was especially cold, 12 degrees below zero, the heating pipes hummed overhead, and the hall was packed shoulder to shoulder with travelers rushing to get away before the Spring Festival. Everywhere there was the sound of suitcase wheels rolling over the floor, mixed with the non-stop flight announcements over the loudspeaker. Sun Yen stood beside the check-in counter, holding an envelope in her hand. I stood across from her. We had been together for 2.5 years, engaged for 4 months. Right before Spring Festival, our 2 families had just had a meal together. Her mother smiled at me quite kindly, but as she smiled, she started asking how much my year-end bonus was, what level of Housing Provident Fund contribution I was paying, and whether my family home back there had been demolished for redevelopment. At that time, I had just joined a small design institute. My monthly salary was 8,000 yuan, and after deductions for social insurance and Housing Provident Fund, I took home a little over 6,000. I was paying into the Provident Fund at the lowest rate. The house in my hometown was an old, run-down unit from the 1990s, let alone demolition and redevelopment. Even the property fees were still unpaid. Sun Yen's dad didn't say a word the whole time, and when he was picking up food, his chopsticks never once reached toward my bowl. I ate the meal with my back stiff with tension. Then came the scene at the airport. When Sun Yen handed me the envelope, she didn't look me in the eye. Her gaze fell on some spot just above my shoulder. One of those looks where you're facing someone's direction, but not looking into their eyes. Qi Yen, she said, wait for me for 3 years. Inside the envelope was a printed agreement on A4 paper, with the 4 large characters. 3-year promise. At the top, the gist was, she would go to London for further study, for a term of 3 years, and after 3 years she would come back and marry me. Both parties would sign. Her signature was already on the paper. The handwriting was neat. It looked as if she had practiced it several times in advance. 3 years later, I will definitely come back, she said. I reached out and took it. The paper felt a little cold. The hall was well heated, but the paper was cold, as if it had been left outside for a long time. Okay, I said. She smiled. Then someone came walking over from behind her. Guze, 6'3", in a crisply tailored overcoat, with a carefully arranged scarf. He walked over pulling 2 suitcases, one large and one small. The smaller one was rose red. Sun Yen's. Yen, let's go, we need to go through security, he said to Sun Yen. His voice was gentle, his tone affectionate. He called her Yen, not Sun Yen, not you, it was Yen. Sun Yen looked back at him and nodded. Then she turned to me. Then I'm leaving, She left, following Guze. He pulled his own suitcase with one hand and hers, the bright pink one, With the other, the two walked side by side toward the security checkpoint, their steps in sync, shoulders occasionally brushing. She didn't turn back. I stood in the departure hall, clutching that A4 sheet of paper in my hand. The announcement came over the loudspeaker, Flight CA 937, Beijing to London, boarding about to begin. I looked down at the paper in my hand, the 3-year agreement. In the signature fields for both parties, her signature was on the left, and the right side was blank, left for me. I didn't sign. I folded the paper in half, then I folded it in half again, then I made a pointed corner, then I unfolded the wings on both sides, a paper airplane, palm-sized, made from A4 paper. It couldn't fly far or high. I held up the paper airplane, aimed at the dome above the departure hall, and then, let go. It slid through the air about 3 meters and landed crookedly beneath a row of seats. No one picked it up, no one noticed it either. I sat there for 20 minutes, bought a bottle of mineral water, unscrewed the cap, and drank more than half of it, then took out my phone, contacts, Su Nian Nian. The nickname was written as Nian Nian, followed by a heart symbol. She added that heart herself using my phone. Once, while curled up on my lap playing with my phone, she secretly changed several nicknames and even swapped my wallpaper. I stared at that heart for a while. Click delete. The system popped up a confirmation box. Are you sure you want to delete contact Su Nian Nian? Confirmed. Then pop up another one. Also delete chat history. Delete it as well. The phone screen refreshed. An empty space appeared in the contacts. The arrangement adjusted automatically, clean and tidy. I finished the bottled water, threw the bottle into the trash can, stood up, and walked out of the terminal. It was 12 degrees below zero outside. The wind cut at my face, and the roots of my ears hurt. I stood by the roadside for a minute, then called Wei Shua. I'm at the airport, come pick me up. What are you doing at the airport? Seeing someone off. Who are you seeing off? It's New Year. Who's still traveling far away? Su Nian Nian. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line. Where did she go? London. With whom? Guze. This time, there was 5 seconds of silence. I'm on my way. Which exit are you at? Don't move. It took him 40 minutes to drive to the airport, a gray used Fit, with a safety charm his girlfriend had given him hanging from the rearview mirror. I opened the front passenger door and got in. He glanced at me and said nothing. The car merged from the airport expressway onto the 4th Ring Road. He turned on his left signal and asked me, where to? Anywhere. Eat something. Not hungry. Drink. Sure. He parked the car in an alley near the 3rd Ring Road. At the alley entrance was a small eatery run by a man named Fang, originally from Hebei, who sold braised noodles and cold dishes. There were only a few cold dishes worth eating in winter, but his peanuts were deep-fried and sprinkled with coarse salt, perfect for drinking. Wei Shua ordered 2 bottles of Nulanchen Erguotu, the kind in clear glass bottles, less than 10 yuan a bottle. You're treating, he said. Okay. When I poured the first cup, he sat across from me, silently watching me. I drank the second cup, the third cup. On the 4th cup, he finally spoke. That damn Guze, it has nothing to do with him. How can it not be his fault? She walked away with his suitcase. The suitcase is hers. He just helped carry it. You believe that? I picked up my chopsticks and Yili Huasheng Mi. No. Then why didn't you stop me? What are you stopping? Stopping her. I put the peanuts in my mouth, chewed them up, and swallowed. She wants to leave, and I can't stop her. Don't you feel frustrated? Frustrated? I carefully sensed the emotions in my chest. Yes, it is a bit, but not the kind of frustration that makes you want to smash things, pick a fight, or corner Guze in an alley and beat him up. It's another kind, deeper, quieter. It was like the sound a whole building makes when the foundation collapses and it slowly sinks down. Not a sudden crash, but inch by inch, sinking into the ground, the creak of wood breaking, the rustle of plaster peeling off. I drank the 5th cup. Wei Shua. I deleted her number. His hand, which was picking up peanuts, paused for a moment, when, just now, at the airport, he put down his chopsticks and looked at me. After quite a while, he picked up his own cup of wine and drained it in one gulp. Fine, he said, then delete it. Don't think about it once it's deleted. I'm not thinking about it. He glanced at me again, probably not believing it, but he didn't say anything more. That night, I drank more than half a bottle of Erguotu. Wei Shua helped me into the car and took me back to my rented room. The rented room was outside the 5th Ring Road, a 1-bedroom apartment with a monthly rent of 2,300 yuan. The living room was tiny, with a folding dining table and 2 chairs. The bedroom was even smaller. The bed took up 3/4 of the space, and the remaining quarter held a desk. On the desk sat a photo frame. Inside was a photo of Su Nian Nian and me. It was taken at Hohai. She was wearing a white dress and smiling happily. I had my arm around her shoulder. Grinning like an idiot, I turned the photo frame over, the picture face downward, then I collapsed onto the bed, and the ceiling spun several times above my head before finally stopping. My phone vibrated again. It's Su Nian Nian. No, already deleted, it's an unfamiliar number, text message, safely took off. I'll contact you over Wi-Fi after landing, wait for me. The colon and right parenthesis form a smiley face. I didn't reply. I put my phone face down next to the pillow. From that day on, I never received another message from that number. Perhaps she did send one, but I can no longer remember. Because the first thing I did after waking up the next morning was to block that number, the second thing I did was to resign from the company, the third thing I did was submit a resume to a Class A Architectural Design Institute in Beijing. The interview was scheduled for after the Chinese New Year, on the 8th day of the first lunar month, during the New Year holiday. I stayed alone in my rented apartment and ate instant noodles for 7 days straight. On New Year's Eve, Wei Shua called and invited me to his home for the reunion dinner. His mother had prepared braised fish, sweet and sour pork, and a plate of dumplings filled with chives and eggs. I sat on the sofa in his family's living room, watching the Spring Festival Gala on TV and eating dumplings, while his mother served me 2 bowls of fish soup. Xiao Qi, drink more, it'll help you recover. Thank you, Auntie. Wei Shua sat beside me and didn't say much. He was probably afraid I'd feel bad. Actually, I didn't, or rather the sound of that foundation settling has already stopped, because the entire building had already collapsed. Once it had collapsed completely, it wouldn't collapse anymore. The interview was on the 8th day of the Lunar New Year, a Class A design institute. The structural department was short-staffed, but I studied architectural design. The interviewer asked me why I applied for this position, and I said I wanted to start from the planning stage. The interviewer looked through my portfolio. It was my university graduation project proposal, a community library, 3 stories, with exposed concrete exterior walls and skylights plus an atrium for natural lighting inside. Looks good, he said. When can you come? Tomorrow. That soon? No other matter. For the next 3 years, I arrived at the company at 7:30 every morning and didn't leave until after 10 at night, drawing plans, modeling, meeting with the client, going to construction sites to stay on location, studying for the licensed architect exam, entering competitions. Time passed quickly, so quickly that I had no time at all to wonder who, in the end, picked up the paper airplane I lost at the airport 3 years ago. Or maybe someone picked it up, probably not. The janitor swept it away, together with all the trash in the waiting hall. Chapter 3. Sun Yanyan first successfully got in touch with me on the 4th day after she returned to China. It wasn't through WeChat, it was through my mom. That night at 9 o'clock, I had just gotten home from the office. Right now I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in an old residential complex inside the 3rd Ring Road. The landlord is a retired professor. The monthly rent is 4,800 yuan. It gets great light, and from the south-facing balcony you can see an old pagoda tree. I was cooking noodles. The water had just come to a boil when my phone rang. My mom. Son, have you eaten yet? I'm cooking noodles. What kind of noodles? Instant noodles. Added an egg. Just 1 egg. You're too thin, let me tell you. I waited for her to finish her usual nutrition lecture, but this time, she stopped abruptly. Qi Yan, I want to ask you something. Here it comes. If my mom ever starts with, let me ask you something, the question that follows is definitely not going to be a good one. Last time she asked, is that female coworker at your company named Ruotang interested in you? The time before that, she asked, when are you bringing a girlfriend home to me? Go on, Su. Nian Nian is back, you know that, right? The water in the pot was boiling, and steam fogged up my glasses for a moment. Got it. Her mother called me. What did she say? She said Nian Nian came back and wants to see you, so she asked me for your contact information. Did you give it? My mom was silent on the other end of the phone for a second. I gave them your office landline number. Mom. I felt embarrassed not to give it either. They even called the house. Your dad answered the phone, and when he handed it to me, he even said, it's your in-law mother. What in-law mother? That was 800 years ago. Well, we were engaged before, we broke it off, moved out. When did she move out? Why didn't you ever tell me? She backed out 3 years ago. She's already gone. What's the point of an engagement anymore? But didn't she go for further studies? Mom. I turned off the heat, the noodles soaking in the pot. 3 years of further study, and I wait 3 years without being able to marry a wife. Didn't you think something was off about that back then? My mom was momentarily stunned. Then you never said you weren't willing. I was young back then. You're only 28 now. Anyway, it's already over. I lifted the noodles out, poured some soy sauce over them. If she calls me, I don't have much to say. What if she calls your company's landline? The receptionist will handle it for me. Are you sure? Sure. My mom let out a long sigh, the kind I've heard since I was a child. Meaning, you've grown your wings, I can't control you anymore. After hanging up, I carried my bowl of noodles to the dining table and sat down. I took a couple of bites. The phone vibrated again. Wei Shua, the group chat name had been changed from Qi Yan's ex-girlfriend returns to watch the drama squad to live broadcast channel. Wei Shua sent a message, breaking news. Su Nianyan got the company landline number through Old Cheese Mom. All units, be advised, the suspect may launch an attack. During office hours tomorrow, Huang Lei replied with, waiting for it. Lao Qian sent a dog head emoji. Shenjia said, is Qi Yan really heartless, or is he just pretending? Wei Shuo replied, he really is, you don't know him well enough. 3 years ago at the airport, he deleted someone on the spot. Once he decides to let something go, he won't pick it up again. I silently left the group chat. 2 seconds later, Wei Shuo pulled me back in. Don't run, you're the main character. I don't want to be the main character, beyond one's control. At 10 the next morning, Xiao Zhou from the front desk really came again. Engineer Qi, there's a girl here to see you. It's the same one from yesterday, the one wearing the camel-colored coat, but today she's wearing a different scarf, white. I was revising the drawing. Tell her I'm on a business trip. She said she called the company landline, and the switchboard said you were in. I looked up at Xiao Zhou. Xiao Zhou shrank his neck. How about you go out and meet her? She's been standing at the front desk for half an hour already, and all the other visiting clients are watching her. This was Su Nianyan's tactic. She wouldn't make a scene, and she wouldn't cry or wail. She would just stand there, waiting quietly, in a posture that was sad, gentle, and made everyone watching think, this girl is so pitiful. As she waited for you, 3 years ago, she had been the same. Every time we argued, she never shouted or yelled. She would just sit in the corner of the sofa with her head down, waiting for me to soften first. I always soften first, every single time. Tell her, I thought for a moment, to go sit in the cafe on the first floor. I'll go down at noon. Xiao Zhou left. I kept editing the image. At 2 minutes to 12 noon, I closed my laptop, went to the restroom, and splashed my face with water. The person in the mirror looked a bit different from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was a young man with a round face. Now, my features were sharper, my cheekbones more pronounced, and there was a bit of dark discoloration under my eyes, left behind by staying up late. There is a faint mole on the chin. Su Nianyan used to always say that mole looked like a sesame seed, and every time she kissed me, her lips would brush over that spot. When that thought came to me, I turned on the faucet and splashed my face with cold water. Not stirred, it's a conditioned reflex. It's like when an app you've already deleted occasionally pops up a notification. Just dismiss it. Go downstairs. The cafe on the first floor is to the left of the building entrance. It's not very big, with 4 two-person tables and 2 long tables. The seats by the window get good light. She was sitting at the 2-person table by the window. 3 years without seeing each other. Her hair was longer, much longer than before, falling over her shoulders with slightly curled ends. Her skin was a bit paler, perhaps because there was less sunlight in Europe. Her face had also slimmed down. Her jawline was more defined than before. She was wearing that camel-colored coat with a white cashmere scarf, holding an Americano in her hand, which she hadn't really drunk. There was a phone in front of her. Its screen lit up, as if she had been waiting for my message all along. I walked over. The moment she looked up, her eyes were ringed red. Qi Yan, I pulled out the chair opposite her and sat down. What would you like to drink? She asked, her voice a little shaky. No need, I just had lunch. I lied. I hadn't eaten, but I didn't want this meeting to turn into a meal. She held the Americano in both hands, her knuckles turning white, not because of the cold. The cafe was well heated. It was nerves. You've lost weight, she said. Busy. Work must be exhausting. Not bad. She looked at me, and there was something very complicated in her eyes. Expectation, unease, hurt, and a little cautiousness. 3 years ago, that kind of look would have made my heart ache. Now it wouldn't. Why didn't you reply to my WeChat? She asked. I didn't save your number. When I see a stranger adding me as a friend, I usually don't accept. When those words fell, her lips moved slightly, as if something had gently struck her. You deleted my WeChat. When? Pretty early. How early? I can't remember. She looked down at the coffee cup in her hand. A layer of condensation had formed on the side. That agreement. What agreement? She suddenly looked up, and her pupils contracted. The 3-year agreement, the paper I gave you, the one you signed. I didn't sign it. This time, she froze completely, her fingers tightened, and the coffee in the cup sloshed slightly. You didn't sign. I didn't have time. You left too quickly. She opened her mouth, as if to say something, then closed it again. I looked at her and suddenly remembered something. Did you come back alone? Yeah. Where's Guzet? At the mention of that name, her shoulders visibly tensed up. He is still in London. Oh, I didn't press further, not because I didn't want to know. I just didn't care. Silence fell for about half a minute. She set down her coffee, lifted her head, and said word by word, Qi Yan, I'm back. 3 years are up. I came back to find you. I looked at her. Sunlight from outside the window cut across her face from the side, casting a small shadow from her eyelashes. Her expression was earnest and solemn, and her eyes held a glimmer of moisture. It's pretty, Sun Yen Yen has always been pretty, that hasn't changed, but being pretty and being moved are two different things. Why are you looking for me? She froze for a moment. Did you forget the 3-year promise? I said I would come back and marry you after 3 years, that was what you said. You agreed. I said the word, okay, wasn't that just agreeing to it, Sun Yen Yen? I called her by her full name, not Nyen Yen, but Sun Yen Yen. You took someone else's suitcase and walked off with it. She froze, the entire cafe fell silent for a moment. That was, Guze helped me carry it. I had too much luggage. You only had one suitcase, a rose-red one. He was pulling it. She fell silent. You walked into security side by side with another man and didn't even look back. When I said this, my tone was very calm, with no sense of accusation or interrogation, just stating a fact. And then you told me to wait for you for 3 years. I did say yes at the time. But that word yes had a very short shelf life. Her hand began to tremble. It's not an act. I've known Sun Yen Yen for 2.5 years. When she's acting, her lips tend to pucker slightly. That's unconscious. Right now, her lips are pressed tightly together, her lower lip slightly drawn in, bitten down on. She really is in pain, but I didn't soften because of that. I didn't sign that paper, I said, so strictly speaking, that agreement was never valid, but... And that paper, I stood up and pushed the chair back in. I folded into a paper airplane, after you went through security, before the plane took off. She looked up at me, the tears finally fell, silently, one drop slid from the left eye socket down to the chin. Paper airplane. I just tossed it under the seat in the waiting area. Sorry, I have a meeting this afternoon. I turned and walked away. After leaving the cafe, I paused for 2 seconds in front of the revolving door on the first floor of the building, pulled out his phone. Wei Shua's group chat had already exploded. Huang Lei, at Wei Shua, how's it going? Lao Qian, any photos from the scene? Wei Shua, don't rush me, the informant hasn't sent a message yet. A few seconds later, Wei Shua sent me a separate message. You finished talking with her, how was it? I typed, finished talking, there wasn't much to talk about. Did she cry? Have you softened your heart? No. A long silence, then Wei Shua replied with, he followed it with a sentence, 3 years ago I already said it. You deserve better. I didn't reply. I put my phone back in my pocket and went upstairs. The meeting in the afternoon is at 3 p.m. The images that need to be revised haven't been finished yet. Chapter 4. Sun Yen Yen did not give up. I wasn't surprised. She was the kind of person who only got more stubborn the more she ran into obstacles. Back in college, she had plenty of guys chasing her. Yet she had set her sights on me, the poorest one of the lot. Her mother opposed it for half a year, and she held out for half a year. When she got stubborn, even 9 oxen couldn't drag her back. Only this time, she was stubborn in the wrong direction. The following week, she showed up downstairs at the company every day. She didn't come upstairs, didn't pester me, didn't call, didn't send WeChat messages, because she couldn't add me as a friend, and she couldn't get the new phone number I had just saved. She would sit at the window seat in the first floor cafe, order an Americano, and stay from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. Xiao Zhou at the front desk would come to report once every morning on time. Engineer Qi, that girl has come again. On the first day, I said I understood. On the second day, I said, On the third day, I said nothing. On the fourth day, Lin Jie from the adjacent desk finally couldn't hold back anymore. She leaned over and whispered, Engineer Qi, who exactly is that girl who comes here every day? The whole front desk is talking about it, saying you have a devoted girlfriend who comes every day to wait for you. Not a girlfriend, then it's an ex-fiancée. Sister Lin's eyes instantly widened. Fiancée, before, then why come every day? Probably because she has too much free time. Sister Lin opened her mouth, then closed it again, hesitating before returning to her workstation. I could hear her making a quiet phone call over there, speaking extremely fast and in a very restrained tone, probably sharing this explosive piece of news with someone. Wei Shua, meanwhile, was even more emboldened. He made an Excel spreadsheet in the Live Updates channel, listing the time Sun Yen Yen arrived each day, the time she left, what clothes she wore, and what coffee she ordered. March 18th, arrived at 10:07, left at 17:12, camel coat plus white scarf, 1 Americano plus 1 slice of tiramisu. March 19th, arrived at 09:55, early, left at 17:30, gray sweater plus black long skirt, 2 lattes plus didn't eat anything. March 20th, I typed in the group chat, Wei Shua, do you have anything better to do? This is my serious business. Where's your KPI? My KPI is to record your life. Don't delete the group, don't delete the group, everyone's just here for the spectacle. You can treat us like a bunch of digital pets. Day 7, this day was a little different, because Sun Yen Yen didn't come alone, this time. Front desk Xiao Zhou ran especially fast, and by the time she reached my workstation, she was even slightly out of breath. Engineer Chi, the girl downstairs brought someone with her today, who, a middle-aged woman, looks to be in her 50s, wearing a purplish-red down jacket, with short curly hair. As soon as she arrived, she told the front desk she was looking for you, saying she was she said she was your mother-in-law. I put down my mouse, the fingers tapped lightly twice on the desktop. Sun Yanyan's mother, Zhao Huifang. My memory of this name was extremely clear. 3 years ago at that New Year's Eve dinner, she asked me 17 questions, and every single one of them was about money. What's your monthly salary? Have you bought a house? Have you bought a car? What tier is your housing fund? Has your hometown been demolished for redevelopment? How much is your parents' pension? Do you have any siblings fighting over the family property? 17 questions, and they left my head spinning. What she said to Sun Yanyan's father at the end I remember very clearly, not something she said in front of me, but something she said to Sun Yanyan's dad in the kitchen when she thought I'd gone to the restroom. This Xiao Qi, he's honest enough, but his circumstances are just too poor. If Yanyan stayed with him, she'd suffer her whole life. At that time, Sun Yanyan's father fell silent for a moment and said, as long as Yanyan likes it, that's all that matters. Zhao Huifang raised her voice a notch. What good is liking it? Can liking something put food on the table? I overheard this conversation clearly while standing in the hallway. Then I pretended I hadn't heard anything, came out of the bathroom, sat back down at the dining table, and said to her with a smile, Auntie, your cooking is really delicious. Thinking about it now, I really was quite good at acting back then. Tell the front desk I'm in a meeting, I said to Xiao Zhou, and I'm not sure when it'll end. She said she'd wait. Then let her wait. I actually knew Zhao Huifang wouldn't wait much longer. She's not Sun Yanyan, she doesn't have that kind of patience. Sure enough, 40 minutes later, Xiao Zhou came again. Engineer Chi, she left, but she left a note. The note was written on a cafe napkin. The handwriting was large, stroke by stroke, as if afraid I wouldn't be able to read it clearly. Xiao Qi, Auntie knows she wasn't very kind to you back then, and Auntie wants to apologize to you. Nian really misses you. If you have time, come by our home sometime, and Auntie will make dumplings for you. Phone 139XXXX, Auntie will be waiting for you. I turned the note over and looked at the back, nothing at all. I folded the note twice and tossed it into the trash can on the desk. 5:00 p.m. Finished the final version of the exterior design, sent the email to the client. I stretched my neck, and the bones cracked twice. Then, I heard a voice that really shouldn't have been in our office. Excuse me, is Engineer Chi Yan here? It was Shen Ruotang's voice. Shen Ruotang, my colleague, to be precise, the lead designer from the interior design department next door, who joined the company half a year after me, tall and slender, with short hair that reaches her ears, a pair of black-framed glasses perched on her nose, and always dressed in black, white, or gray. Her voice isn't loud, but it's clear, the kind of clarity that allows you to hear every word she says, even on a noisy construction site. Here, I raised my hand. She came over, holding a roll of printed drawings in her hand. The preliminary draft of the soft furnishings plan for that bund project is out. Mr. Zhang said to have you take a look and see whether there are any conflicts with the architectural plan. Just leave it here. She set the drawings on my desk, was about to leave, then paused. Chi Yan, the girl sitting in the cafe downstairs for a week, do you know her? I looked up at her. Her expression was very calm, not the kind of curiosity that comes from prying into gossip, but the normal concern between colleagues, the kind where you see someone squatting at your doorstep and casually ask, are you okay, ex-fiancé? She nodded without pressing further. How did you know she was here? I was buying coffee at noon when she stopped me. She asked if I knew you. What did you say? I said yes. Then what? Then she asked me, does he have a girlfriend? How did you reply? Shen Ruotang adjusted her glasses. I said, you'll have to ask him that yourself. Okay, but, her tone paused for a moment. It seems she misunderstood something. Misunderstood what? When I left, she stared at me for a long time. That look, the kind only women can understand. She probably thought there was something between you and me. No, I know. She looked at me, the corners of her mouth lifting ever so slightly, not quite a smile, just a slight movement at the corners of her lips. If you need me to help cover for you, I can go along with it. Thank you. No need. She turned and left. I called out to her when she reached the door. Shen Ruotang. She turned back. That interior soft furnishing proposal. Don't use warm gray for the color scheme, the client prefers a cooler tone. She froze for a moment, then nodded. Okay. The door shut. I glanced down at the roll of blueprints. At the top of the blueprint was the project name, Conservation and Renewal of the Bund Historic Building Complex, Interior Concept Plan. She had drawn it very meticulously. The lines were clean, the annotation standardized, and the color palette Restrained, a neat and efficient person, I straightened out the drawings and put them into the file rack. Then I took out my phone. In WeChat, Sun Yanyan's friend requests had piled up to the 11th one. The latest verification message read, Chi Yan, I was wrong, give me a chance to explain. Okay, I closed the application list, opened the work group chat. Mr. Zhang sent a message, all departments. Please note that next Wednesday will be the company's annual outstanding project review. Please submit your evaluation materials. Chi Yan's old city renovation project and Shen Ruotang's bun project are both on the shortlist. This was followed by a string of received. I replied with, okay, put away my phone, got up and turned off the desk lamp at my workstation, off work. Today I won't go through the back door, I'll go through the front door. As I came out through the revolving door, I caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye of the first floor cafe. The seat by the window was empty. She left on the table. There was still an unfinished cup of Americano and a napkin. I didn't walk over to see what was written on the napkin. I went straight out of the building and got on my electric bike. In March in Beijing, the sky was still bright, with the setting sun pressing down from the west, casting a warm, golden glow over the entire street. On the branches of the old locust tree, a hint of green was emerging. It was about to sprout. I turned a corner and stopped at the convenience store. At the entrance of the neighborhood, buying a bottle of yogurt and a pack of salt. Tonight, I plan to fry some eggs and cook some noodles. Days pass like this, Chapter 5, Wednesday, Company Annual Outstanding Project Review. More than 60 people from the whole company crowded into the large conference room, and as the projector screen was pulled down, each project team took turns going up to present. I was third in line. It was an old city renovation project, and we'd been working on it for more than half a year. We'd gone through the entire process, from concept plan to construction drawings, and the client's feedback was pretty good. The neighborhood residents were also cooperative. I made a 15-slide PowerPoint and stood on stage talking for 20 minutes. When I mentioned the core innovation of preserving the original red brick texture on the exterior facade while embedding breathable insulation panels, someone below started applauding. It was Shen Ruotang. She was seated in the third row on the left. Her applause was not loud, but it was steady. 2 claps, no more, no less, just enough to convey approval. I nodded and continued speaking. When it was her turn to present the bun project, she went on stage wearing a different pair of glasses made specifically for presentations. The frames were thinner, metal-colored, and made her look more sharp and energetic. She spoke very well, not the kind of flowers come spilling from the mouth, well, but so logically clear that you didn't need to think to follow her train of thought. The amount of information on each PPT slide was just right, not so little that it felt empty, and not so much that it felt overwhelming. At the end, she put up a photo of the construction site. The workers were applying the traditional copper trim to finish the edges, their fingers covered in dust, but the lines they produced were straight and beautiful. That photo was taken by her herself. She specifically went to the construction site and stayed there for 3 days. At the end of the review, General Manager Zhang announced the results. The old city renovation project and the bun project tied for project of the year. Someone suggested taking a group photo. I stood in front of the projection screen with Shen Ruotang, while the company's administrative assistant held up her phone and took 3 photos. Engineer Chi, smile a bit, no need. Then how about you? Engineer Shen, smile a bit. Shen Ruotang's lips twitched, just like before. It wasn't really a smile, only the curve of her lips. But the photo actually turned out pretty well. The administrative girl sent the photo to the company group chat. Below, a chorus of congratulations, congratulations. Wei Shuo immediately took a screenshot and sent it to me in a private WeChat message. In this photo, you two are standing very close. That's just fisheye lens distortion. Are you sure it's not your psychological distortion? You say that again and I'll block you. You wouldn't dare. Then he sent another message. But seriously, Shen Ruotang is 10,000 times better than Sun Yanyan. I didn't reply to that message, not because of agreement or disagreement. It's because comparing the two people in the first place is meaningless. One belongs to the past, the other to the present. The past doesn't need to be compared. The present is still uncertain. After the evaluation ended, everyone returned to their workstations, and life went on as usual. But Sun Yanyan's campaign suddenly escalated that day. It was no longer about sitting in a cafe and waiting. When I got off work, I walked out of the company gate and found a taxi parked by the roadside. The car window rolled down. Chi Yan. It wasn't Sun Yanyan, it was a man's voice. I stopped, the car door opened, and a man got out from the back seat. He was 6 feet 1 inch, with a perfectly tailored overcoat, not the one from 3 years ago, but a new one, made of black cashmere. But that stance, that slight tilt of the chin, I recognized him at a glance. Guzé, he stood under the streetlight and smiled at me. I was familiar with that kind of smile too. It was the kind of smile that said, I know you don't like me, but there's nothing you can do about it. When he came to find Sun Yanyan in college, he greeted me with that same expression, long time no see, Chi Yen. Who are you? That, who are you, wasn't an act. Of course I recognized him, I just didn't want to give him that face. Guzei's smile froze for half a second. I'm Guzei, Nien Nien's. Oh, I said, I remember, the suitcase one. His expression stiffened ever so slightly. Luggage, the one at the airport 3 years ago, when you helped Su Nien Nien pull her suitcase. His smile completely vanished. Honestly, I wasn't trying to snap at him on purpose. Well, it wasn't entirely on purpose either. I came to you because I wanted. You want me to wait for you for 3 years too? What, if so? I'll leave now. Guzei's mouth twitched. Chi Yen, you still talk like this, sharp, direct, thanks. I'll be direct then. What did you want to see me about? I need to hurry home to cook after we're done. His hands were tucked into his coat pockets, his shoulders slightly tensed. It was the posture of someone who had prepared many things to say but didn't know where to begin. Nien Nien has been looking for you these past few days. I know, she really wants to see you. We've already met. She said you refused to forgive her. I didn't refuse to forgive her. I never even thought about whether to forgive her or not. There's no need for forgiveness in this matter, because it no longer has anything to do with me. Guzei was stunned. What do you mean? It means that when you left 3 years ago, this matter was over. There is no option of forgiveness. Once it's over, it's over. The wind rushed through the gaps between the buildings, slapping the hem of his coat against his legs twice. So you're blaming her now? Your hearing isn't very good. I took the electric bike key out of my pocket. I said, it's over. The word blaming is your own addition. You only blame someone because you care. If it's over, then you don't care. If you don't care, then there is no such thing as blaming or not blaming. He stared at me for 5 seconds. During those 5 seconds, the changes in his expression were fascinating. First disbelief, then scrutiny, then a very subtle unease. That unease wasn't because I had said anything remarkable, it was because he realized I was real. It's not an act, it's not putting on a brave face, it's not that fake kind of letting go where you grit your teeth and say, I've already moved on, but your eyes are completely red. It's genuinely not a big deal. It's as if he's a complete stranger in front of me, just a passerby, a stranger asking for directions. He raised his hand to brush away the hair blown into his eyes by the wind. I actually wanted to clarify something with you. What is it? 3 years ago, when Nien Nien went to London, I was the one who invited her. I know, you knew. I found out 3 years ago. Then why didn't you? Not stop her, not beat you up. I kicked the stand of the electric scooter away. What if I did stop her? She would leave if she wanted to. What if I beat you up? She wouldn't stay just because I beat you up. So I walked her to the security checkpoint, watched her go in with your suitcase, then I folded the paper she gave me into a paper airplane, then I deleted her number, then I went home. Guzei's Adam's apple bobbed. Paper airplane, yeah, folded from an A4 sheet. It flew about 3 meters, then it crashed under the chair. His mouth opened, then closed, like a fish. I think this conversation can end here. Anything else? No, then I'm leaving. I still have to go buy groceries on the way back. I mounted the electric scooter and twisted the throttle. Chi Yen, Nien Nien is not having a good time in London. I paused. These past 3 years, his voice dropped, carrying an awkward hesitation. She's actually had a pretty hard time. I turned back and looked at him. His expression was no longer that lofty, superior smile. It was something very unfamiliar. After thinking about it, I figured it should be called guilt. Whether she suffers or not has nothing to do with me anymore. I twisted the throttle all the way open. The electric bike motor hummed once, not exactly imposing, but enough to carry me away from. In front of him, after riding about 500 meters, my phone buzzed. Wei Shuo, just now, when I passed by your company, I saw you talking to a man. Who was he? The tall, skinny one in the black coat. Guzei. 3 seconds later, message bombardment. Damn. Why is he back too? What did you say? Tell me, did he lay a hand on you? Don't do anything rash. I'm taking a taxi over right now. If he so much as touches a finger on you, I'll kill him. No, I take it back. I'll call the police first and have the cops kill him. That's more legal. When I stopped at the intersection and waited for the red light, I typed 4 words with one hand. No fight, just talked for a bit. I went home. You just let him go like that. What else was I supposed to do? Have a brawl in the street? Wei Shuo sent a voice message. I didn't listen to it on the road. I opened it only after I got home. 59 seconds. The first 40-odd seconds were him cursing Guzei with all kinds of ugly insults, some of them very creative, involving hybrid forms of multiple species. In the last few seconds, his tone suddenly softened. Old Chi, have you really completely let go? I put my phone on the dining table and walked into the kitchen. I washed 2 eggs, cracked them into a bowl, added a little salt and stirred well. Heat the pan, pour in the oil. Not much, just enough to coat the bottom. The moment the beaten eggs hit the pan, there was a sizzle, and golden edges began to bubble. Flip it a couple of times with a spatula. The tender yellow scrambled eggs were served on a white porcelain plate. Looks good. I picked up a chopstickful and put it in my mouth. The saltiness is just right. The phone screen dimmed. Have you let it go? Of course I have. If I hadn't let it go, I wouldn't be standing here. 2-bedroom apartment, south-facing balcony. The old locust tree has sprouted new buds. Dinner was scrambled eggs and dried noodles, eaten alone. It was pretty good. Chapter 6. As for Sun Yanyan's 3 years in London, I never took the initiative to ask about them, but something like this doesn't require you to ask around. Once she herself tugged at that web of relationships, her experiences over the past 3 years would scatter everywhere like cotton fluff escaping from a torn quilt. It was Shen Jiaxian who told Huang Lei told Wei Shuo told me, in a tone that said, I don't want to say this, but I can't hold it in. Do you know what she's been doing in London for the past 3 years? I don't want to. No, she didn't even really take any advanced courses there. She just went to a language school for 6 months. For the remaining 2.5 years, she was basically just doing odd jobs in London and hanging around with Guzay. I said I don't want to know. Guzay had a girlfriend over there. No, more than one. He dated 3 in total, one after another. They were all local white girls. Sun Yanyan was basically his translator, assistant, and free live-in maid, cleaning his place, cooking for him, and driving those girlfriends around. The chopsticks I was using to pick up food paused for a moment. Wei Shuo had come to freeload at my company cafeteria again at noon. He sat across from me with a plate of braised pork ribs and a bowl of rice, and even with his mouth full of ribs, he could still relay gossip clearly and smoothly. I've always admired that ability of his. Stop talking for now. I'll just say one last thing. I don't want to hear it. Guzay got engaged at the end of last year. His fiancée is his professor's daughter, British. Sun Yanyan was introduced at his engagement banquet as my Chinese friend. He took a bite of the ribs and gently set the bone back onto the plate. Chinese friend, 3 years, Chinese friend. I fell silent for a moment. The cafeteria was buzzing with noise. Some were discussing the afternoon meeting. Others were complaining about the client's 17th revision of the requirements. So she came back. Yes, because she had no way out over there. Guzay got engaged, her visa expired, she ran out of money, her parents wired her money to come back, so she came back to me because you were her fallback plan. Wei Shuo looked at me, his expression serious. From start to finish, you were her fallback plan. That 3-year promise from 3 years ago wasn't some romantic commitment at its core, it was a safety net. In case things didn't work out with Guzay, she still had you. The chopstick spun a full circle between my fingers. Actually, I had already figured out this logic 3 years ago at the airport, the moment she went through security. Not when the plane took off, not when she got home, but the very moment she walked in without looking back, pulling Guzay's suitcase. That was when I understood. Someone who truly intended to wait for you for 3 years wouldn't walk away pulling another man's suitcase. She will pull her own suitcase. At the security checkpoint, she looks back at you once, even if it's just a glance. She didn't. That shows that in her heart, the 3-year agreement was never a promise, it was an escape route she left for herself, and I was just a stepping stone along that escape route. You're angry. Wei Shuo stared at my face. No, your fingers are tensing. I lowered my head and looked at them. My knuckles turned white from gripping the chopsticks. I let go and put the chopsticks down. I'm not angry. Then what is it? After thinking for 2 seconds. Disgusting. If 3 years ago, when I deleted her number at the airport, there was still a lingering, unwilling to admit trace of unwillingness in my heart about this relationship, the kind of unwillingness that says, I gave so much, why didn't you cherish it? Then now even that trace of unwillingness is gone, because I realized, she never considered me something worth cherishing, not from the very beginning. Finished, I picked up my tray and stood up. There's a field meeting this afternoon. Wait a minute, Wei Shuo called out to me and, rarely, put away his playful grin. What are you going to do about it? Do what? Sun Yanyan, she'll keep coming to see you. That's her business. Aren't you planning to cut it off completely? It's already over. It ended 3 years ago. I took the tray to the return area and wiped the corner of my mouth with the back of my hand. She just didn't know it. That afternoon, I stayed at the old city renovation construction site until dark. The project had entered the stage of facade construction. The installation of the insulation boards needed to be closely monitored on site. The veteran workers' craftsmanship was fine, but some of the younger workers weren't quite meticulous enough with the seam finishing, and I squatted beside the scaffolding watching for 2 hours. Around 6 o'clock, the sky had completely darkened, the construction site lit up with floodlights, their incandescent glow slanting across the red brick walls, making the texture of those old bricks particularly clear. This building was constructed in 1987, over 30 years of exposure to wind, sun, and rain had left the red bricks with varying shades of color. Some bricks bore traces of moss, while grass roots had sprouted from the gaps between others. I took a photo with my phone, and sent it to Shinruatang, original exterior wall texture. You can use this color palette as a reference for the soft furnishings on your end. She replied instantly, got it, this warm brown looks really nice. Then she sent another message, are you still at the construction site? I was just about to leave, be careful, are you wearing your hard hat? Yes, I looked down, sure enough, he was wearing it, an orange plastic hard hat, with the construction company's logo printed on it and a scratch from the last time it had brushed against a scaffolding pipe. That's good. Then she sent a very brief emoji, a little sun, it was the kind that comes with WeChat. A yellow round face with 2 curved eyes. I looked at it for 2 seconds, no reply. He put his phone in his pocket, greeted the foreman at the site, and rode his electric bike home. He got home at 7:30, turned on the light, changed shoes, put down the keys, opened the fridge, half a cabbage, 2 tomatoes, and a block of tofu bought the day before. Tonight's dinner, cabbage and tofu soup with rice. While I was cutting cabbage, the doorbell rang. I thought it was the delivery guy downstairs who always delivered packages to the wrong place. I opened the door. Sun Yen was standing at the doorway, wearing that camel-colored coat, her hair hanging loose, her cheeks reddened by the wind, her eyes were a little swollen, the trace of having cried. How did you find my home? Your mom told me. I took a deep breath. My mom, fine. She held a brown paper bag and pulled out a crumpled sheet of paper from it, A4 size, printed. It read, 3-year promise. I recognized it. It wasn't my copy, it was the one she kept for herself. She must have printed 2 copies, one for me and one to keep for herself. Her copy was signed. In the bottom right corner was her signature, written in neat, rounded handwriting. This is my copy. She held up the paper, her hand trembling. Chi Yen, you folded your copy into a paper airplane, didn't you? Then my copy is still here. It's signed, the 3-year promise. I didn't break the agreement. I came back, 3 years. Not a single day more. Her voice began to tighten. You can say you deleted my number, you can say you forgot about that piece of paper, you can even say you don't remember this ever happening, but you can't say this agreement doesn't exist, because I still have it here. She pressed the paper against her chest. I still have it. I stood at the doorway, still holding a kitchen knife that was only halfway through chopping vegetables. The scene might have been a little funny, a man in an apron, holding a kitchen knife, and opposite him stood a tearful woman clutching a contract. If Wei Shuo were here right now, he would probably already be laughing so hard that he'd be sprawled on the ground. Sun Yen, put this away first, listen to me. No, I mean, put the paper away first. This is the hallway. The old lady next door takes her dog out for a walk at exactly 7 in the evening. If she sees this scene, the whole neighborhood will know my gossip by tomorrow. She froze for a moment. She actually put the paper away. I took a step back and opened the door wider. Come in. She hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. She changed her shoes. There were no women's slippers by the door, so she wore mine, which were 2 sizes too big, making a shuffling sound as she walked. I went back to the kitchen and kept chopping cabbage. She stood in the living room and looked around. 2 bedrooms, clean, simple. In the living room, there was a fabric sofa and a coffee table. On the coffee table sat a laptop and a mug. Printed on the mug were the words, "The client is the boss," a birthday gift Wei Shuo gave me last time. There are architecture books on the bookshelf, several in foreign languages, and a few are still my college textbooks. There is a painting hanging on the wall, one I painted myself, a sketch of the crooked willow tree at the entrance to the alley in my hometown. No photos, there isn't anything related to her at all. She looked for a long time. Do you live alone? For how many years? This house has been lived in for over a year. Before that, I lived outside the 5th Ring Road for 2 years. She walked to the window and saw the old locust tree outside. This residential complex is quite. Sun Yen. She turned around. If you have something to say, just say it. I've finished chopping the cabbage and still need to put it in the pot. She placed the craft paper bag in her hand on the coffee table. She stood there for a while, then he sat on the sofa. The sofa was very soft. When she sat down, her body sank into it a little. Chi Yen, I know you hate me. No, I don't. Then why do you? Hating you takes effort. I've spent the last 3 years pouring all my energy into drawing. There isn't much left to spare for you. Her lips pressed tightly together. You've changed. You weren't like this before. Before was before. Before, I used to be stupid. Those words fell into the air of the living room like a stone crashing into the surface of water. Sun Yen's shoulders flinched slightly. You said you were stupid. I said I used to be foolish. I stepped out of the kitchen, wiped the water from my hands, leaned against the kitchen doorframe, and looked at her. Sun Yen, you made me wait for you for 3 years. At that time, I really intended to wait. Do you know that? She lifted her head. Just before you went through security, for a few seconds, I thought about rushing over to hug you, snatching the suitcase away from Guze, and telling you not to go anywhere. just come home with me. Her eyes lit up for a moment, but the moment you turned around, everything became clear to me. That little bit of light went out. A man who truly intends to wait for you, someone worth staying for, won't be the one carrying another man's suitcase. Her fingers tightened around the sofa cushion. That's, Guze had too many bags. He couldn't carry them alone. I'm just helping him, Su Nyenyen. My tone was flat, neither rising nor falling. You called him Nyenyen, and he called you Nyenyen. The two of you walked side by side into security. You didn't turn back to look at me. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The moment you left, I knew who exactly it was that you had in your heart. I have you in my heart. If so, you would turn back. Silence, a long silence. The water in the kitchen was still on, gurgling away, with steam rising from the gaps in the pot. I turned around to turn off the heat. When I came back, she was already standing up. She was holding that craft paper bag in her hand. Tears didn't fall. She was holding them back. I recognized the way she held back her tears, her chin slightly raised, her breathing deliberately slowed, her blinking quickened. Chi Yen, do you really not miss me at all? She asked the question in a whisper, almost no sound at all, but every word was clear. I looked at her, looking at her wind-chapped cheeks, slightly swollen eyes, fingers clenched around the craft paper bag, and the men's slippers that were 2 sizes too big. After thinking for a moment, I don't want to, her chin finally gave out, her whole face twisted for a moment, as if something inside had shattered, but she still didn't cry out loud. She took off her slippers and put back on her own shoes. As she bent down, a single tear fell onto the floor by the door. She opened the door and left, no turning back, just like 3 years ago. I stood at the door and watched her get into the elevator. The elevator doors closed. I looked down at the water stain on the floor. Then I went back and closed the door. I continued cooking my cabbage and tofu soup. The tofu was already cut, neat and square, the white cubes floating in the water. I put them into the pot one by one. The water came to a boil again. The cabbage went into the pot too. Salt, chicken essence, black pepper powder. Scooped a bowl, served with rice. Sitting at the dining table, eating. Chewed twice, stopped, picked up the phone, then put it down, picked it up, sent a message to Wei Shua. She came to my place. She left. You didn't ask her to stay. He sent a horrified emoji. Are you out of your mind? Are you okay? I'm fine. He didn't reply again. 10 minutes later, he sent one message. If you want to drink, I'll bring some ergotu over. No need. Then go to bed early. I finished eating, washed the dishes, wiped the table. Then I stood by the window and watched the old locust tree outside for a while. March. The new buds have sprouted a little more since yesterday, a tender green, shining brightly under the streetlight. The phone lit up again. It wasn't Wei Shua, it was Shen Ruotang, a single message, with no extra content. Good night, get some rest. I watched for a while, sent 2 words back, good night, then turned off the light, fell asleep, Chapter 7. Things often make a comeback right when you think they've already come to an end. Saturday morning, I had a rare day off and planned to catch up on some sleep at home. I was woken by the doorbell at 9:30. When I went to open the door groggily, I never expected the lineup. Standing outside, Su Nyenyen's mom, Zhao Huifeng, was wearing that purple-red down jacket. Su Nyenyen's dad, Su Jiangwo, a short and stout man, was wearing a dark blue jacket, with sparse hair and an expression of silent reluctance, clearly dragged there by his wife. Unwilling but too afraid to resist, Su Nyenyen stood behind the two of them, her head lowered. In Zhao Huifeng's hands, she was carrying 2 large bags. One bag looked to be fruit, and the other was bulging, as if it were health supplements. Xiao Qi. Zhao Huifeng's face lit up with a broad smile. Auntie came to see you. Didn't I disturb you? Did I? I was wearing pajama pants and a wrinkled t-shirt, my hair sticking out in 3 different directions, still carrying the lingering bad mood of just having woken up. Aunt Zhao. Hey, you should let Auntie come in and sit down. I didn't let her. I blocked the doorway. One hand braced against the doorframe. Whatever you have to say, let's talk right here. Zhao Huifeng's smile froze for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. Xiao Qi. Auntie didn't do well before. Auntie knows that. Back then at that meal, Auntie asked you too many, questions that shouldn't have been asked. Auntie apologizes to you. When she said, questions that shouldn't have been asked, her eyes darted to the side. Su Nyenyen's father stood nearby, saying nothing, staring at the fire hydrant at the end of the hallway. No apology is necessary. Look at you, still being so polite. With Auntie, it's not politeness, really, there's no need. Xiao Qi. Aunt Zhao, I said, pulling the door shut a little, leaving only a crack. Let me speak plainly. What happened 3 years ago is already in the past. There is nothing between Su Nyenyen and me anymore. I appreciate that you came to see me, but please take the things back with you. Zhao Huifeng's expression changed, not anger, something more complicated. Awkwardness, unwillingness, and a little irritation at being Rejected, but she couldn't quite let it show. You child, how can you turn hostile so quickly? Nian Nian has been waiting for you for 3 years. It was her own decision to leave, she's going for further studies. Aunt Zhao, my tone didn't change, but I saw Zhao Huifeng's body lean back by a centimeter. The words you said to Uncle Su in the kitchen at that New Year's Eve dinner 3 years ago, I heard them. Zhao Huifeng's expression froze instantly. Su Jiangwo finally turned his gaze away from the fire hydrant. What words? Su Jiangwo asked. This little Qi is honest enough, but his circumstances are just too poor. Nian Nian would have to suffer for a lifetime if she stayed with him. I repeated it word for word. Zhao Huifeng's face turned pale. That was because auntie at the time. It's okay, you're right, my conditions were indeed poor back then, a monthly salary of 8,000, the lowest tier of housing provident fund, and no demolition of the old family home. Your concerns are very reasonable, Xiao Qi, but Auntie Zhao, poor conditions are not the original sin, being a backup option is. As these words fell, the corridor grew so quiet that the sound of someone flushing the toilet in the neighboring unit could be heard. Su Nian stood behind her mother, lowering her head even further. Zhao Huifeng opened her mouth several times, but no sound came out. Su Jiangwo finally moved. He reached out and patted his wife's arm. Let's go, don't stay here anymore. But, let's go. Su Jiangwo's voice was not loud, but it carried a heavy weariness. He glanced back at me. Qi Yan, I'm sorry, we disturbed you. I nodded at him. Uncle Su, you don't need to apologize. He picked up the 2 bags from Zhao Huifeng's hands and helped her toward the elevator. Su Nian stood there. After about 5 seconds, she lifted her head, eyes were red, but didn't cry. I didn't ask them to come, I know. It was my mom who insisted on coming, I know. She lowered her head again. I'm sorry. She said those 2 words very softly, so softly that I almost thought I had misheard her. I looked at her for a while. What you should apologize for isn't this matter, that is, think for yourself. She stood there for a moment, then turned and left. This time, when she reached the elevator entrance, she paused. She looked back at me once, a glance, just that one glance. The glance she didn't give me 3 years ago, made up for it 3 years later, but it was already unnecessary. I closed the door, returned to the bedroom, collapsed onto the bed, stared at the ceiling for about 5 minutes, then turned over, picked up the phone, and sent a message to Wei Shuo. Su Nian and her family of 3 came to the door. Holy shit, within 10 seconds, he sent 6 voice messages. I didn't open a single one. I replied, I've handled it, don't get worked up. How did you handle it? Chased away. Did you fight? Wei Shuo, can you not ask if we fought every single time? I think you should fight once. Help me play. Sure, I'm ready anytime. Forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything. I lay there a little longer, feeling that there was no way I'd fall asleep if I kept trying. Got up and washed my face, then changed my clothes, went out, got on the electric scooter and rode aimlessly around Beijing in March. The wind wasn't too cold anymore. There was sunshine. When I passed by a park, I stopped and sat on a bench for a while. In the park, there were elderly people practicing Tai Chi, young mothers pushing strollers, and children chasing pigeons on the grass. A boy, probably 5 or 6 years old, folded a paper airplane, held it over his head, and threw it hard. The paper airplane traced a graceful arc through the air, flew about 6 or 7 meters, and then plunged headfirst into the flower bed. The boy ran over to pick it up. I watched him for a long time, until he pulled the paper airplane out of the flower bed, straightened its wings, and threw it again. This time it flew farther. I stood up and brushed the dust off my pants, got on the bike, went to the company, worked overtime on Saturday, drew a diagram. Chapter 8, the last Friday of March, Wei Shuo invited me to have barbecue. His reason, you've been under a lot of stress lately and need to relax. The real reason was that he was just craving it himself and found an excuse to have me treat him. Yes, he had said he'd pay, but after sitting down he realized he'd forgotten his wallet. My phone's dead too. Your phone screen is lit. That's the last afterglow. Wei Shuo, alright, I'll transfer the money to you. The barbecue stall is located in an old alley along the 3rd Ring Road, right next to the newly opened restaurant that replaced Boss Fang's stewed noodle shop from 3 years ago. A few folding tables are set up, with a row of small light bulbs hanging overhead, creating a lively and bustling atmosphere. The skewers sizzle on the grill. 2 bottles of Nulanchen were opened, the kind still in glass bottles. Seriously, Wei Shuo said, biting into a grilled tendon, how are you planning to wrap up this Su Nian situation? There's nothing to wrap up. It's over if she doesn't come looking for me, but she's still coming. I haven't been here recently. Indeed, for most of the past week, Su Nian hasn't shown up downstairs at the company anymore. The friend request also stopped. Zhao Huifeng and Su Jiangwo haven't contacted me again either. Even my mom never brought it up again, which was the strangest part, because my mom's enthusiasm for gossip usually lasted 3 months. Don't you think that's weird? Wei Shuo frowned. she suddenly stopped making a fuss. What's weird about that? She probably just figured it out. Someone like Sun Yanyan wouldn't come to terms with it that easily. Wei Shuo shook his head, wearing the expression of an old Chinese medicine doctor taking a pulse. Either she's holding back a big move, or, the phone rang. It wasn't mine, it was Wei Shuo's. He glanced at the caller ID, and his expression suddenly changed. Huang Lei, pick up the call. I couldn't hear what was being said on the other end. I only saw Wei Shuo's expression change every second, from confusion to surprise, then to rage, and then to an almost uncontrollable fury. What did you say? He stood up, the chair legs scraping against the concrete floor with a harsh sound. Who said that? Fuck. He hung up the phone, both hands on the desk, and let out a hard breath. What's wrong? Sit still, I'm ready, speak. He looked at me, his jaw tightening slightly. Sun Yanyan posted a message on her social media. It says you two are back together. What? She posted a message that basically said, thank you all for your concern, Qi Yan and I have gotten back together, and our 3-year pact has finally been fulfilled. The attached image was that A4 sheet from the 3-year pact, the one she had signed herself, and then, she also mentioned your WeChat account. I never added her as a friend. She used your name. She mentioned a WeChat account called Qi Yan. The account owner isn't you. Maybe it was a dummy account she registered herself, but to the outside world, it looked like it was you. My hand stopped in midair, the skewer she was holding fell onto the table. Is she faking news of a reconciliation? Huang Lei saw it and sent me a screenshot. Her moments are fully visible, everyone you both know saw it. Silence, the noise in the alley, the smoke from the grilled skewers, the warm glow of the little bulbs, all of it was unchanged. But I felt something tense up in the air. Also, Wei Shuo swallowed. She said in the comments section, Qi Yan has been waiting for me, for 3 years, he hasn't forgotten me for a single day. I picked up the remaining half cup of erguotu, and drank it down in one gulp. Not anger, nor disgust, it's a kind of cold. A cold that rises from the stomach. You're forcing my hand. I didn't say that to Wei Shuo. I said it to the air, but Wei Shuo understood. Yes, she's forcing you. If you don't come out and respond, people will assume you're back together. If you come out and deny it, she'll have a chance to confront you head on, and then she can cry, throw a fit, and threaten suicide, and public opinion will side with her. Nice scheme. What are you going to do? I put down my glass. Post a status update for me. What should it say? Think for yourself. In my tone, Wei Shuo's eyes lit up. That kind of light you get when you've waited 3 years and finally get your chance to take the field. Really, but don't go too far. Bold but not flashy, right, more or less. He took out his phone, lowered his head, and his fingers moved rapidly across the screen. A minute later, he handed me the phone to look at. Moments from the draft. The text reads as follows: hereby state, I, Qi Yan, have not gotten back together with anyone, am not in a relationship, and am currently single. The recent online/moments rumors about the 3-year promise being fulfilled are all unrelated to me. I unilaterally terminated that agreement 3 years ago. Specifically, I folded that agreement into a paper airplane and threw it under a chair in the waiting hall of Terminal 3 at Beijing Capital Airport. This is hereby declared. Signed, someone who deleted the other person 3 years ago. I finished reading it. Wei Shuo stared at me nervously. How is it? Too mild. I can make it more ruthless. No need. This is fine. Really. Post it. He took a deep breath, took my phone. He knew my password, 6/8. I couldn't be bothered to set a complicated one. Opened Moments, pasted it, and posted. 10 seconds later, the comments below started to flood in. Huang Lei, I knew it. Old Qian sent a string of ha ha ha. Sister Lin, Engineer Qi, what's going on? Shenjia. That detail about the paper airplane was just 2. More people were commenting. Some I knew, some I didn't. Very well, those half-familiar people you come across because a mutual friend reposted it. I didn't read the comments. I flipped my phone over and set it face down on the table. Keep eating the skewers. Aren't you curious about how she'll react when she sees it? Wei Shuo sat back down, his face flushed with excitement. Not curious. You're not even a little. Wei Shuo, the skewers are cold. He lowered his head and looked at the plate of grilled kidneys in front of him, which had already gone completely cold. That's true. We kept eating. By the time we'd opened the 3rd bottle of erguotu, Wei Shuo's phone rang again. He glanced at it. This time he didn't answer, but he turned the screen toward me for a look. Caller ID, Sun Yanyan. She called me. Don't answer. I wasn't planning to. It rang 4 times in a row, but no one answered. Then came a text message. Wei Shuo, tell Qi Yan to delete that WeChat Moments post, please. I'm begging you. Wei Shuo looked at the message and fell silent for a moment. She panicked. She relies on this false information to maintain her dignity, in her social circle, in front of relatives, and in her own mind. Now you've stripped her bare. could you please not use that metaphor? What do you know about textbooks? He put his phone away and raised his glass. To you, old Chi, 3 years. Finally stepping away from the table, I raised my glass too. I touched it. When the wine went down my throat, it burned, but it wasn't unpleasant. It felt like something had finally been completely washed away. Chapter 9. I thought that statement in the moments was the end of it, but Sun Yanyan gave me one final surprise. April 3rd, Wednesday, 2:00 p.m. I was in a meeting at the company, with the completion report PPT for the Old City renovation project displayed on the projection screen. The client representative, the construction team, the supervisor, and Mr. Zhang were all present. Halfway through the meeting, Xiao Zhou from the front desk pushed the door open and came in. Her expression didn't look quite right. She walked over to me, bent down, and whispered a sentence in my ear. Engineer Chi, there's a girl downstairs, crying in the lobby. She wants to see you. She says she won't leave unless she sees you. I paused for a moment. Sun Yanyan, she was holding a piece of paper in her hand. Everyone in the conference room was looking at me. President Zhang adjusted his glasses. Engineer Chi, something urgent, personal matter. President Zhang, I'll go out and take care of it. Go. I stood up. I stood in the hallway outside the conference room for 3 seconds. Take a deep breath. Once, twice. The fingers loosened, then clenched again. Then took the elevator downstairs. First floor lobby. Sun Yanyan was standing beside the front desk. She was no longer sitting. She was standing, wearing a white sweater and jeans, with her hair tied into a ponytail. The same ponytail she had in college. Her eyes were badly swollen. Several people had gathered in front of her. Company staff and visitors alike were looking at her. She was clutching that A4 sheet in her hand, the copy of the 3-year agreement, the one she signed herself. The paper was already crumpled beyond recognition, with damp marks squeezed out between her fingers. The instant she saw me come out of the elevator, her whole body language changed. Her shoulders tilted forward. Her feet shifted a step toward me. Her lips moved twice, but no sound came out. I walked over, stopped about 2 meters away from her, paused. What are you doing? His voice was very flat. She looked up at me, her lips trembling slightly. Chi Yan, why did you post that on Moments? Because you posted a fake one. That wasn't fake. Sun Yanyan, I'll say this one more time. I did not get back together with you. We ended 3 years ago. The lobby fell silent. Xiao Zhou at the front desk lowered her head. Several onlookers exchanged glances, some wanting to leave but unwilling to do so. Sun Yanyan's fingers tightened even harder around the paper. You say it's over, and it's over. Have you ever thought about how I feel? Before you said that, did you ever think about mine? She froze. 3 years ago, when you were pulling Guzé's suitcase through security, did you ever think about how I felt? My voice wasn't loud, but the hall had good acoustics. Every word came through clearly. You walked side by side with him, and you didn't even glance back at me. Then you asked me to wait for you for 3 years. What do you take me for? Later, I found out, for 3 years in London, you were Guzé's translator, his nanny, and his free labor. He had 3 girlfriends. He got engaged. He called you his Chinese friend. Sun Yanyan's face went pale at once. How do you Sun Yanyan, do you think you're the only one who knows about these things? Human relationships are a web. You got yourself tangled in it. Her breathing grew heavy. Her chest rose and fell violently. Those aren't what you think. I don't want to. I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought at all about how you've been doing in London, because from the day you left, you've had nothing to do with me. I took a step forward, about a meter away from her. You could see the moisture clinging to her eyelashes. The piece of paper in your hand. She reflexively hid the paper behind her back. You signed it. I didn't. That piece of paper was never an agreement. It was a backup plan. You wrote for yourself. No, you know that in your heart. If you really wanted to marry me, you wouldn't have left with Guzé. You could have gone to London for further study on your own, and you could have come back to find me 3 years later. But you chose to go with him. Same flight, same city, helping him pull his suitcase, helping him tidy up his place. Her lips were trembling. Sun Yanyan, you don't love me. You don't love me. You just need an escape route. After those words fell, her knees went weak. She didn't kneel down. She held herself up, but took half a step back. The paper in her hand finally slipped from her grasp, drifting down to land on the marble floor of the hall. The A4 sheet lay there quietly. The words, 3-year agreement, faced upward. Her signature was in the bottom right corner. The signature field on the right is still blank. 3 years. It has always been blank. I looked down at the paper, then bent over, picked it up. Her eyes lit up instantly. Like she had waited 3 years for this moment. I flipped the paper over. The blank backside faced up, then folded in half again. A pointed corner is formed. Unfold the 2 wings. A paper airplane, exactly the same as the one folded at the airport 3 years ago. I held the paper airplane up and let go. It glided through the air in the lobby for 4 or 5 meters. then landed crookedly beside the glass door at the lobby entrance. No one picked it up. That paper airplane from 3 years ago was a gift to my past self. I looked at her. This one, I'm giving to you. Su Nyenyen stared at that paper airplane, motionless. Tears dripped from her chin and splashed onto the ground. She bent down. She crouched on the ground, covered her face with both hands, finally cried out loud, a very soft sound. It was as if something had blocked her throat, and all she could make out were muffled sobs. No one in the hall said a word. I stood there for a moment, then turned around, walked to the elevator entrance, pressed the up button. The elevator door opened. I walked in. Before the elevator doors closed, I heard another person's voice, Shen Ruotang. She didn't know when she had ended up standing beside a column on one side of the lobby. She didn't look at Su Nyenyen. She was looking at the paper airplane on the floor. The elevator doors closed. The final image is the lights in the hall, the paper airplanes on the floor, and Shen Ruotang pushing up her glasses, upward, 17th floor. I stepped out of the elevator and returned to the conference room. Pushing the door open, everyone looked at me. Sorry. I sat down in my seat. Personal matters are taken care of. Let's continue. Mr. Zhang looked at me for 2 seconds, then nodded. Okay, continue. The projection switched to the next PPT slide. The meeting continued. I opened my laptop and took meeting minutes, fingers tapping on the keyboard. Steady, chapter 10. Mid-April, spring had finally arrived in Beijing. Not that hesitant, fake spring that's warm today and cold again tomorrow. This was the real spring, willow catkins drifting through the air, fresh leaves covering the old locust trees, and elderly men and women occupying every park bench. Su Nyenyen didn't come looking for me again. She posted a moment's update, and deleted that fake reconciliation message too. The new post was just a very short line. Sorry, best wishes. No photo, no location tag, comments are turned off. When Huang Lei sent the screenshot to the group chat, Wei Shua's reaction was, "That's it," Lao Qian said. "Decent," Shen Jia said. "It's finally over." I didn't see that WeChat Moments post. Wei Shua showed me a screenshot of it. After I finished looking at it, I deleted the screenshot. There was no need to keep it. Later, I heard that Su Nyenyen had returned to her hometown, not Beijing, but her hometown in Shandong. Her parents went back with her too. Zhao Huifang introduced her to a blind date back in her hometown, a civil servant, local, with a house and a car. I don't know whether she went, and I didn't want to know anymore. As for Guzei, he went to Shanghai and took a management position at a foreign company. Before leaving, he sent a WeChat message to Wei Shua, not daring to send it to me, saying, "Tell Qi Yan I'm sorry for me." Wei Shua forwarded the message to me exactly as it was. I replied with an then I unpinned the chat with Wei Shua. It's not that I'm angry with him, it's just that work has been too busy lately, and I needed to make space in the chat list. The final acceptance inspection for the old city renovation project has been approved. The client treated me to a meal. We had Huaiyang cuisine, and the lion's head meatballs were quite good. After a few glasses of yellow wine, the client's 50-something-year-old uncle put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Xiao Qi, your proposal is really well done. The idea of preserving the red bricks is truly thoughtful. Thank you. Mr. Wang, I'll come to you for the next project, anytime." After I returned to the company, Mr. Zhang had a talk with me. "Qian, you've been at the company for 3 years. You've gone from assistant designer to lead creator pretty quickly. The company gave me a good opportunity. Don't be modest, everyone can see your abilities." He adjusted his glasses. "There's a partner promotion slot at the company for the first half of the year. I recommended you. Partner, in a design firm of this size, being a partner means a share of project profits, the authority to manage a team, and an office with your own name on it. Thank you, Mr. Zhang, keep up the good work." When she came out of Mr. Zhang's office, Shen Ruotang was standing at the end of the corridor. She held a cup of coffee in her hand, not for herself, but for me. "I heard you were recommended for partnership. News travels fast," Sister Lin told me. Sister Lin's intelligence network is faster than the CIA's. Shen Ruotang's lips twitched slightly. It was still that kind of curve that didn't quite count as a smile, but this time, the curve seemed just a little bit bigger. She handed me the coffee, American style, no sugar. She remembered I take it without sugar. "Congratulations, not decided yet, it's only a matter of time." I took the coffee and had a sip. "What about you? Has the bun project been completed yet?" "It was accepted last week. The client is very satisfied." "Congratulations to you too." "Thank you." We walked side by side down the hallway. The company's corridor wasn't very wide, so our shoulders occasionally brushed against each other as we walked. It wasn't intentional, the hallway was just too narrow. "Qi Yan, are you free this weekend?" "What's up?" "There's an old building complex over by Xishan, from the Republic of China era. They've recently been doing a conservation survey there. I want to go take a look. Do you want to come along? See the old buildings?" Why don't you ask someone else? Others don't Understand structure, are you talking about architectural structure, or architectural structure? What are you thinking? Nothing, okay, go. She nodded and walked into her office. Before the door closed, she glanced back at me. Bring a camera, okay. The door closed. I stood in the hallway, holding that cup of Americano, took a sip. The temperature was just right. Saturday, West Mountain. In April, West Mountain was lush with greenery. The trees along the mountain road had sprouted new leaves, and the air carried the mixed scent of earth and fresh grass. Shen Ruotang wore a light beige trench coat and had changed into a pair of sneakers, while her black-framed glasses were still the same pair. I carried a backpack containing a camera, a notebook, and 2 bottles of water. The old building complex was on a gentle slope halfway up the mountain. 3 small blue brick buildings from the Republic of China era, originally the old campus buildings of a university, later abandoned, and now surrounded by vines and wildflowers. Shen Ruotang squatted at the base of the wall of one of the buildings, using her phone to photograph the pattern in the brick joints. Look at this mortar joint. It's lime mortar, not cement, the method used during the Republic of China era. The mortar was mixed with glutinous rice juice, which is why the brick joints haven't cracked even after over 90 years. I crouched down beside her to take a look. Indeed, the mortar joints were full, dense, and yellowish in color, exuding a warm, aged texture. Have you studied this? I wrote a paper last year, Material Analysis and Conservation Strategies for Architectural Mortar in North China during the Republic of China period. Published it, yes, in a core journal, but no one read it. I want to read it. She glanced up at me. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the trees and fell on her lenses, reflecting a small patch of glare. I'll send it to you later. We wandered around those old buildings for more than an hour. I took a lot of photos. Blue bricks, wooden window frames, iron door handles, and the remaining gray roof tiles. She sat nearby taking notes, handwritten in fountain pen, the handwriting very small but very clear. At noon, they ate a meal at a farmhouse restaurant at the foot of the mountain, free-range chicken soup, stir-fried seasonal greens, and a plate of peanuts. She was very quiet while eating, not talking, just focusing on her food. He only spoke up after finishing eating. Qi Yen, You've been pretty good lately. Well, during that period before, you seemed not bad, exactly, but like there was something weighing you down. It's gone now. I thought about it for a moment, because it's over. What ended? The thing that should have ended. She looked at me and didn't press further. She was the kind of person who didn't press further. She listens when you want to talk. She doesn't ask when you don't. This sense of boundaries is more precious in relationships than any sweet talk. After the meal, we walked down the mountain path. The road wasn't steep, but there was a stretch of gravel that was quite slippery. She walked ahead, her shoes crunching on the gravel with a rustling sound. At a bend in the path, her foot slipped, the gravel shifted, and she tilted to the side for a moment. I reached out to steady her. My hand landed just on her arm. She steadied herself, looked down at her own feet, then looked at my hand. I withdrew it. Thank you, she said. Be careful, Keep walking. No more words were spoken, but that sensation lingered beneath the fabric of the thin windbreaker. Her arm was very slender, but not the kind of frail thinness that could be blown away by the wind. It was the lean, strong kind shaped by years of holding blueprints and a mouse. I tucked my hands into my pockets. There is a little warmth in the palm of the hand. There is a child flying a kite by the roadside. No, that's not right. It's not a kite. It's a paper airplane. A paper airplane, folded from colored cardstock, made of red, blue, and yellow pieces. The child ran a couple of steps holding the paper airplane, then threw it hard. The paper airplane traced an arc in the April wind. It flew farther than expected. It flew over that stretch of gravel road, over the low bushes by the roadside, and didn't come down until it reached the grass below the hillside. The child cheered and ran down to pick it up. I stood by the roadside watching that paper airplane. Its red, blue, and yellow wings stood out brilliantly against the green grass. Shen Ruotang also stopped and followed my gaze. Do you like folding paper airplanes too? I used to fold them. What about now? I watched the child in the distance pick up the paper airplane, brush off the blades of grass on it, and prepare to throw it a second time. Not folding it anymore now. She didn't ask why, she just nodded. Let's go. There's still a way to go down the mountain. I followed behind her. The mountain path wound downward, with trees growing denser on both sides. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the leaves, scattering into patches of light on the ground. The wind blew up from the valley, carrying the scent of April, earth, new leaves, and flowers somewhere far away that I couldn't name. I took a deep breath. The air was clean, all the old things in my lungs, the warm smell of airport heating, the musty odor of rented rooms, the sharp burn of ergotu, the ink smell of A4 paper, were all washed away, fresh. Air came in, completely filled. When we reached the foot of the mountain, my phone vibrated. Wei Shua, what are you doing today? Why aren't you replying? I typed, hiking, alone. No, who with? A colleague. Which colleague? Guess. After 3 seconds, Wei Shua sent a long string of text, densely packed. I exited after reading the first line. The first line said, I knew it. I put the phone back in my pocket. Shen Ruotang was walking ahead, buying roasted sweet potatoes from the parking lot attendant. Do you want one? She asked, turning back to me. Yes. Do you want the sweet kind or the powdery kind? Either is fine. She bought 2, she wrapped one up and handed it to me. The roasted sweet potatoes were hot to the touch, their golden flesh steaming. I blew on it, broke off a piece, and put it in my mouth. Sweet, very sweet, the sweetness of spring. All right, let the days keep moving forward like this. Those paper airplanes, whether folded from A4 paper or colored cardstock, once they fly off, they've flown off. The ones that fall to the ground don't need to be picked up. Let the ones that have flown far away stay far away. What is meant to stay will naturally stay. Who is meant to arrive will naturally arrive. No rush. I chewed on a roasted sweet potato as I followed Shen Ruotang toward the parking lot. The April sunlight was spread across the ground. The shadows were long, the shadows of 2 people.